Imagine standing before a low wooden gate at the entrance of a mountain shrine, the scent of cedar and incense mingling in the cool morning air. A solitary bell tolls, its hollow chime echoing against mist-shrouded pines. Here, centuries ago, samurai would come to cleanse their minds and steel their spirits before battle. They sought more than victory. They pursued a way of life, a moral compass forged in the crucible of war and discipline. This was Bushido, the way of the warrior, a code of honor that shaped not only warriors but the very soul of Japan. Long before Bushido was ever written down, the ancestors of the samurai were provincial fighters called bushi, hired to protect estates from bandits and feuding clans. Their world was chaos, and their only currency was skill with sword and spear. Yet amidst this turmoil, certain ideals began to take root. Muted loyalty whispered its importance as they pledged fealty to powerful lords. Courage proved its worth when men leapt into battle, knowing death lay beneath every stroke of steel. Over time, these unwritten principles crystallized into something more enduring than armor or fortress walls, a moral code that would survive the sword. By the Kamakura period in the early 13th century, shoguns ruled Japan through samurai vassals. A new class of military aristocracy emerged, and with it, the need to regulate conduct in both war and peace. Monks and scholars debated the nature of right action. Confucian teachings from China emphasized loyalty, filial piety, and righteousness. Zen Buddhism taught detachment and mindful presence. The coming together of these philosophies began to shape a warrior ethos that valued not just battlefield prowess, but the tempering of the self. At its heart, Bushido championed rectitude. A samurai must choose the right path, even when easier choices beckoned. Imagine a young swordsman faced with the chance to settle a score by underhanded means. He would refuse, knowing that true victory lay in honorable combat. Benevolence followed rectitude, compelling him to protect the weak, aid the suffering, and show mercy when possible. In one famous tale, a retainer discovered his lord's family in dire straits. Yet instead of demanding recompense, he concealed his own poverty to continue serving faithfully, safeguarding their honor above his own needs. Courage, perhaps the most visible virtue, went hand in hand with frugality. In the spring dawn, a samurai's armor might gleam in cherry blossom light, but his belongings were spare, his clothes plain. He carried only what was necessary, focused more on inner strength than outward display. Standing on a windswept hill, katana in hand, he accepted that life was fragile, a truth that demanded fearless resolve. Death was neither shame nor tragedy if met with discipline and poise. Respect and honesty formed the warp and weft of Bushido's social fabric. When samurai exchanged words, they bowed low, voice steady, conveying sincerity without artifice. A promise was a bond sealed by personal honor. To break it invited disgrace, not only upon oneself, but upon one's entire lineage. In letters to distant commanders, meticulous attention to phrasing and form underscored this reverence for language as a vehicle of truth. Even in the heat of battle, truces were honored, wounded enemies spared, and fallen comrades treated with dignity. The ritual of seppuku, or self-disembowelment, epitomized the samurai's willingness to sacrifice life for principle. Though harrowing to modern sensibilities, it followed strict procedures. An attendant held the blade, a trusted friend stood by with short sword for the final mercy blow. Through seppuku, a disgraced warrior chose death over exile or dishonor, transforming personal failure into a testament of unwavering integrity. Throughout the turbulent warring states period of the 15th and 16th centuries, Bushido provided a moral anchor amid shifting alliances and endless campaigns. Daimyos, feudal lords, compiled codes of conduct for their retainers. The most famous of these, the Code of the Taiko, issued by Toyotomi Hideyoshi, demanded loyalty and honesty above all, condemning those who enriched themselves at their lord's expense. As firearms entered the field, battles grew more impersonal, yet the ideals of close quarters valor remained paramount. A samurai's reputation was sealed by his willingness to charge through gunfire rather than hide behind earthworks. When Tokugawa Ieyasu founded his shogunate in 1603, Japan entered a 2.5-century peace. With few wars to fight, samurai turned to administration, scholarship, and the arts. Bushido evolved into a guide for governance and personal conduct. Etiquette manuals instructed retainers on tea ceremony, calligraphy, and even gardening, emphasizing harmony and aesthetic refinement. Yet the martial virtues persisted. Sword schools thrived, and household codes reinforced courage and loyalty. A magistrate in Edo might adjudicate disputes by day, then practice kenjutsu at night, embodying both compassion and strength. In the early 18th century, Yamaga Sozo penned one of the first systematic treatises on Bushido. He argued that a samurai's profession was to cultivate both literary and military skills, serving as a bulwark against corruption and unrest. His writings stressed that the essence of Bushido lay not in killing, but in the preservation of social order and the defense of right. Later, Tsunetomo Yamamoto's Hagakure distilled Bushido into aphorisms. "The way of the warrior is death," he wrote, urging readiness to die at any moment for duty's sake. Though criticized for its fatalism, Hagakure captured the romantic imagination of later generations, embedding Bushido in Japan's cultural consciousness. By the mid-19th century, Western powers forced Japan to open its doors. The shock of modern warships and foreign diplomats unsettled the samurai class. Some viewed Western military science with suspicion. Others embraced it. The Meiji Restoration of 1868 abolished the samurai's privileges, ended sword wearing, and introduced a conscript army. Yet the ideals of Bushido survived, recast as a national ethic rather than a class code. Military academies taught loyalty to the emperor, self-sacrifice, and fraternal duty. Business leaders adopted Bushido-like ethics, persistence, loyalty to the company, and an emphasis on group harmony became corporate tenets. In the 20th century, Bushido's legacy deepened, both for better and worse. During World War II, kamikaze pilots embraced a distorted form of self-sacrifice, underscoring how ideals of loyalty and death could be manipulated by ideology. After the war, Japan's pacifist constitution repudiated militarism, but Bushido's virtues found expression in everyday life. A dedication to craftsmanship, respect for colleagues, and a quiet resolve to overcome adversity. Ceremonies like the tea ritual and martial arts, such as kendo and iaido, kept the traditions alive, teaching practitioners focus, humility, and self-control. Today, Bushido resonates beyond Japan's shores. It has inspired Western martial artists who value discipline and character development. Executives quote its precepts in leadership seminars. Writers and filmmakers draw on its archetypes to tell stories of honor tested by modern dilemmas. Yet Bushido is not a static relic. It must be reinterpreted for contemporary challenges: ethical leadership in business, moral courage in public service, compassion in healthcare. To live by Bushido now is to cultivate a personal code anchored in integrity, respect, and service. It means doing the right thing even when no one is watching, showing empathy to the vulnerable, facing fear with composure, recognizing that true strength lies in restraint and understanding. We may not wear swords, but we all wield power in our choices. Each decision, how we treat our colleagues, how we respond to injustice, how we reconcile ambition with humility, echoes the legacy of those warriors who strove to perfect both blade and soul. As you leave the mountain shrine gate behind, the morning mist lifting from the forest floor, carry with you the spirit of Bushido. Let its principles guide your actions. Be just, be kind, be courageous, and above all, be true to your word. In a world of shifting values and blurred boundaries, this ancient code offers a beacon of clarity. It reminds us that honor is not a trophy to display, but a path to walk, one deliberate step at a time. Thanks for watching. On our channel, you'll find more in-depth stories about samurai life and reel their history. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know what you think in the comments below. See you in the next video.